Do you struggle with ideas on what to post on social media?
Good morning, Neil and Hayley here from Parallel
Did you almost
Coaching.
forget your name?
I almost said it wrong, yeah.
There we go. Good morning. How are we doing? It is Neil and Hayley here from
If
Parallel
you would
Coaching.
like to drop a comment below, say good morning, that'd be lovely. And join us for our cup of coffee this morning.
And let us know, as a FITPRO, whether you are newly qualified, whether you've been qualified for a few months.
Or finishing off training.
Finishing off training, maybe you qualified in the first lockdown, maybe you've just qualified in the second lockdown, or maybe you've been a PT for years and you just find that whole social media game of what to post, when to post, coming up with ideas, just a massive struggle. So drop a comment and let us know, and we're going to give you 3 tips today to tackle your social media. And we're also after going to post a link to a blog with a free training which is about 40 minutes long. So you can nip it all in the bud.
Exactly, get it all locked down and planned.
Good morning. Nikki's here, Fiona's here, Emma's here. So if you are listening, just drop us a thumbs up, drop us a comment. So.
Oh, Fiona, your post arrived yesterday.
Wicked. Amazing. Good morning, Ben. So do you struggle, let us know, be really honest. Do you struggle with posting on social media and coming up with an idea of what to post and making sure that post is relevant, making sure that post portrays the message you want, that post is timely, and you're consistent at doing that? So drop a comment below and let us know.
Most people find it quite overwhelming in terms of the idea of social media posting, or they find it pointless and don't see the purpose in it. So there's kind of that double whammy side to it. But when you're sort of mapping out your social media, if you feel really overwhelmed by it, or you don't know where to start, or you feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again, I think that's a point to pop down here. Let me know where you're at with this.
The biggest thing I think I see with a lot of I'm not just going to say newly qualified FITPROs, I'm just going to say FITPROs, I'm going to say businesses overall, is consistency. And when it comes to consistency, it's doing the same thing or doing what you said you were going to do over a period of time, regardless of the conditions, regardless of the environment, regardless of what people say, regardless of the situation, regardless of what you think or how you feel of a response. You're going to be consistent in spite of everything. Okay, and I think that's the biggest hurdle or barrier that businesses or FITPROs, bang their head against the wall over. And what I mean by that is you put a post out there or you make a video and nobody likes, comments or shares on it.
Yeah.
And so you have a thought around that video didn't work. Now that makes you feel sad, and your action or behavior from there is to not be consistent and do another video the next day. Now, I want you first and foremost to consider that actually just because no one liked, commented or shared, it didn't mean that people didn't watch it or watch the whole thing or click through.
Read it.
Okay, so it's not reacting, okay, or responding to likes, comments and shares. I think that's the biggest tip I could give somebody.
Yeah, don't react straight away. I like that as a and also it supports, like Neil said, he just broke that down into what we call the Mercedes model of like the thoughts you have, the feelings you have, and that responds to the actions that you have, and that goes round and round in circles.
Yeah.
So if you've got a positive spin on that and you actually look at it and go, oh, it's not about the likes, but I'm really glad I got this consistent message out there and I think this will relate to people.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
Then you go into your feelings, go, I feel good that I got this out there regardless of the outcome.
It's just like a snowball.
You do it more, you get more feedback.
The snowball analogy is perfect here. That metaphor of rolling up a snowball, okay? You roll it on the flat ground, you roll it towards the edge of a hill, but it takes energy, time and effort and energy to push and roll that snowball and builds up. And it's not until it gets best part of maybe 70-80% downhill that it's got speed, it's got velocity, it's got forward motion, and it's starting to build up and pick up new snow and compact and get a bigger snowball and a bigger snowball and a bigger snowball. But you've got to get it first and foremost. You've got to roll the snow up in your hand. You've got to roll it to the edge of a hill. You've got to roll it, off the edge and get it moving. And that's the toughest part.
Yeah.
One thing I see, I'm just going to jump in very quickly, is when it comes to consistency, is having an achievable and realistic goal when it comes to posting.
Nice.
So if I look around some of my peers and people in my coaching group, some of them post maybe 12+ times per day. And that can make me feel, nice. I'm going to say a little bit inadequate, or maybe I should be doing that. I'm not doing enough. And then imposter syndrome and fear and that feeling of being fraudulent comes out when I start to compare myself to others. However, if I set an achievable and realistic goal and say, well, Neil, how many times do I post a day at the moment? And I might say, well, I only post once per day. Well, let's be consistent across the next 2 weeks and post every single day for 14 days. And at the end of that, I can measure it, I can manage it, I can see what worked, what didn't work. Did videos get better response? Did posts with quotes get better response? Did text, long copy or short copy get better response? Now I can make a really educated decision on how to move forwards. But now I can make a decision and say, I've posted once per day for 14 days. Let me post once a day for the next 14 days, but I'm also going to post on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday inside that time, twice per day.
Nice.
And I say it so often, as small hinges swing big doors. Don't go and set a goal that isn't achievable or realistic, because the moment overwhelm kicks in is the moment consistency drops.
Yeah.
So you've got to first and foremost believe that you can do the action, and therefore you're going to take action. If you don't believe you can do 4 or 5 posts per day and that's going to be overwhelming, you're not going to post once a day.
And also the process of doing that, whether it's once a day or twice a day or 3 times a day or 5 times a day, it doesn't matter. The process of doing it, regardless of the outcome that it gets, is also really, really valuable. Now, if you think about all the posts you've put on social media, and I'm using Neil as an example because he does all of our
I do
posting.
all of ours.
So, over the years, think about everyone that you've done.
Yeah.
Would you say the biggest value, okay, yes, we've got leads, we've got payment from it, we've got income from it, but wouldn't you say the biggest value is your learning curve as
The biggest
you've
thing,
learned how
without
to
doubt,
do each
100%.
thing?
The biggest thing I've learned is who I've become throughout the whole process. Okay, and now...
And as a result, you still get the leads. As you're learning this, you still get your clients come through.
The other thing, okay, there's probably way more tips than we imagine putting in this.
Yeah, this isn't
when
three anymore.
when we first started social media, Hayley and I didn't value social media, and I really didn't enjoy doing it. I'm going to say the last 3 years, maybe 4 years, I love tucking into setting up all of the social media and seeing it like a chessboard of pieces, okay? And thinking, how do I move this post to tee up the next post? And how does that checkmate the next one? And how do I move this post here? And seeing it like a full strategy of moving forwards so that all of my white pieces on the chessboard get to the other side and knock my opponents down.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I've learned.
Process...
But I didn't enjoy it to start with. I've learned to enjoy it. It's learnable, and I think that's what a lot of learners don't necessarily appreciate. Is that to start off with, maybe you don't enjoy it, and that's okay. It's a learnable thing, and I think the next tip would be, I found that doing lives much more enjoyable than creating other types of content. So I'm a big fan of sticking to my strengths. So I like doing face-to-camera work. I like creating videos. I like creating or doing...
I think you're really good with imagery
ad-lib
as well, but I'm not very good with imagery. So when we first started out doing some posts and
They
stuff,
were rubbish.
when I was doing them, I think they're rubbish. And I would go like, I've spent ages on this now, it looks really good. And he'd look at it and go, no, that's pants. And then, but as a result, I'm better with this kind of thing where I can plan something or I can get a title and then I can ad-lib it and just go from there. And it saved me loads of time because this would only be like 10, 15 minutes and more people would see it, there'd be more reach compared to spending ages looking for an image that only maybe a few people might see.
So I want you to, first and the next consideration is to consider that actually doing lives or Facebook lives or Facebook videos is a faster route to producing content than jumping on Canva, creating an image, going to find a quote, taking the image. Does it look right? Does it feel right? Is that what I want to say? Was my English okay? Was my spelling, punctuation, grammar all okay? Just jumping on a live actually produces a better result, and the other person, your prospect, you guys listening now, get to see Hayley and I. You get to be part of our morning routine. You get to build up huge amounts of know, like, and trust. You get to hear our voice. You get to see our mannerisms, our expressions, when we mess up, when we don't pronounce things right, and you can have a giggle.
And we throw cream pies in each other's faces.
Cream pie face and whatnot. And that's a huge relatable thing, whereas you could spend ages on a post and it completely flop.
Yeah.
So
I think that's really powerful. And also, when you're doing that with the lives or with anything, my biggest tip for you is to show up as you. There's so much that you might look at other peers that are doing it and be like, oh, I wish I could do it like that, and try and sort of mimic and take it. But if you show up as you when you're doing it, not only will you attract the client that you want to work with and that wants to work with you, which is perfect, but you'll also be much more relaxed and you can enjoy it rather than feeling like you've got to be somebody else or you've got to be strict about who you are.
But I really like what Masaki's just wrote. He said, I see social media as a shop, and the shop is either open or closed, and by posting every day it provides evidence that the shop is open for business. An open sign. I like that. So 3 tips. We've given more already, but my first tip today when it comes to coming up with ideas for social media is there's a lot of kind of noise in fitness around you've got to have your niche, you've got to know who you're working towards, you've got to have your ideal client. Now, that's easier said than done right now on a Facebook Live. Okay, there's a lot of information in our business Kickstarter for that. But one of the key parts would be, imagine you've got a gold thread. Okay, have I got a thread I could use? I don't really know. So imagine you've got a gold thread, and that gold thread represents the type of person or the type of goal you want to go for. So that gold thread could be, I want to work with runners. It could be a really broad thing, okay? It could be, I just want to work with people that want to lose weight. I want to work with ladies that have struggled with yo-yo dieting all their life, and that's the type of person I want to work with. Yeah. It could be a really broad heading still, okay? That gold thread could be, I want to work with ladies post babies, so pre and postnatal. It could be, I want to work with exercise referral clients and just work with low back pain. It could be, I just want to work with people that experience pain. But that gold thread represents that type of person or that outcome you're after.
The focus.
The focus. So you can have a clear start point for a client and a clear end point for a client. They start here at the beginning of that thread, whereby they maybe got low back pain, non-specific low back pain. And then the other side of it, punch you in the face again, over here is where they've worked with you for say 6, 8 or 12 weeks and they don't have back pain.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's crucial that you know what that gold thread at least looks like a little bit. Now, on this gold thread is going to be hundreds of different pearls, and these pearls reflect your social media posts. So, what does the person that you want to work with on that gold thread struggle with? What's their problem? What are they working away from, their pain, their problem, or what are they working towards, their pleasure? So that could be, the gold thread could be, I'm working with runners, that want to improve their time. So the first post could be, I struggle with what shoes to wear. Mm-hmm. The next post could be about pacing. The next post could be about what's the best watch. The next post could be do I carry water or do I not carry water? The next post could be what's my warm-up routine on race day? What's my pre-carb loading? So now you're looking at all of the different problems that this ideal client has, and then each one of your posts has a very specific title, a very specific problem. You're going to talk about that very specific problem and then give them a bite-sized bit of information about that problem of how to improve it. So you don't end up waffling on lots of different ideas. You just keep the one post really focused. But if I took all of those posts for the next 30 days, they would all scream, I help runners, and I'm knowledgeable, confident and competent in helping runners with their race day prep, with their training, with their nutrition, with their mindset. So
if somebody scrolled back through the last 30 days of that pearl necklace, well, Instagram I think is really easy. You can scroll through and you can see all the images really easily. So let's say we scroll through, you would look at it and you go, oh, I'm in the right place because I'm a runner and I want to improve my speed.
Perfect.
Just as like this overview, almost like, you know when you go to a library, that doesn't happen anymore. You'd go to a library, you got all the books lined up, and you'd literally go, oh, I'm in the wrong section, I need to be over here. And then you're like, perfect. Oh, I'm in the right section now. Wicked. So like you can see like the spines of the book, like it summarises exactly where you're at. If
you're going to work with people that, let's say, guys that want to lose weight, and they're between 30 and 40 years old, what type of pains or problems does each one of these pearls represent on the gold necklace? So what do they struggle with? What do they struggle with their breakfast, their snacking, their mid-afternoon snacking, on their commute to work, their commute home? What do they struggle with the time of day that they train, how they train, what they train, the problems they have. Do they do a split routine? Do they do a whole body routine? So you're answering all of the mini questions that's going on in your ideal client's mind on your social media posts.
That's a good tip. That is a solid one.
Do you have
That's a
another
training. Yeah, exactly. So my next one is about keeping it client focused. So it follows on from what Neil said. So keep it really focused on what the client is, regardless of the stuff that's going on in your head.
Yes.
About the doubts that you could or couldn't do it. I don't think you have a doubt that you could do it.
No.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
So the doubt that you could do it, or the problems about whether what you want to be focusing on. Let's say, for example, you've had a rubbish day and you want to put a post on that's rubbish. You might, or decide not to put a post on. Instead, you're sticking to the consistency of what you've planned, because, like Masaki said, that's the window that they're going to see. That's the spines of all the books they're going to see lined up. So it's keeping it really client related and knowing that if you've got a busy day ahead or you've got a busy week ahead, manage it in advance.
Yeah, schedule it.
Schedule it. And then the consistency still sits there, but you can still go on and do your world, but you know that you've taken care of your client first. So that's my thing, is like keep it client-centered first, and then know that you're going to do all that regardless of how you feel. That's my main point.
Ian Mitchell just said, of all the things I thought I was going to hear this morning was Neil talking about pearl necklaces. Well, there we go. We live and learn another day.
Nearly spat his courage out.
So my final tip would be, and I think this is the big point, ready guys, is so many fit pros, and it's not just fit pros that are guilty of it, and I've been guilty of it historically before, and maybe I still am at times, okay? And that's where when we post, we ask for something in return on every post. And what I mean by this, and I'm going to give you another strategy, another tool to action. Okay, and I call it a 4-4-2 strategy plan. So think back to the chessboard, think back to the pearl necklace, okay, think back to the gold thread, and I'm going to give you a 4-4-2 strategy, just like on a football pitch. So you've got lots of metaphors this morning. However, when I see a lot of people post, okay, they do a really nice image, a good headline, some good copy, and then they say, if you're ready to start, reach out here, here's my phone number. There's always... on a lot of people's come and join in. And whilst that's okay, you're going to fatigue the people listening or watching or tuning in. So what I class as a 4-4-2, okay, so 4 plus 4 plus 2 is 10. So you've got 10 posts lined up. So that could be 1 a day for 10 days or 2 a day for 5 days. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter what order you do them in either, okay? But you're going to do 4 posts that are educational. Okay.
Yeah.
And at the end of those 4 posts, you're just going to ask them to maybe drop a comment below. You're going to ask them to engage, but you're not going to ask them to come and join your stuff. You're not going to ask them about joining your bootcamp. You're not going to give any pitch away.
Just content.
Just content.
Like you said about which trainers do you wear? That sort of thing.
Completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what's your favourite make of watch? Garmin for runners or whatever it might be. Anyway, so the next 4, so you've got 4 educational. The next 4 are going to be relating to education, but are going to be a bit more fun-based, a bit more relaxed. Okay.
And these also might be pictures of yourself, things that have become more social.
Remember, you're on social media. It's got to be sociable, right? So you've got 4 educational, 4 fun educational posts on top of that. The final 2, one of them is going to be a soft pitch, okay? And one of them is going to be a hard pitch, which is basically saying, come and join my stuff. You're not going to apologize for this post. You're going to tee it up with, I'm looking for 7 ladies that have had a baby in the last year that want to get fit and yada, 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 yada. You're going to make that post so obvious that it is a clear pitch. Now, if they've tuned in to the last 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 days of your pearl necklace, they've had a soft pitch, say midweek, and a hard pitch towards the end of the week. It gives somebody an opportunity to reach out and start a meaningful conversation with you in order to get them on board on your sessions or one-to-one or semi-private or group-based or circuit, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Now, final point. That soft pitch and hard pitch is not, here's my Stripe link, come and buy my stuff, okay? You've got to pitch the next step. So what is the next step you want them to take? And I'm going to argue that next step is a meaningful conversation. So it could just be, message me okay? And you're going to ask them a question, an open question about where they are now, and you're just going to start creating some conversation, some dialogue, and then the bigger pitch comes further down the road. You know, nobody goes, you know, I've heard this analogy so many times where a guy goes out on a date, okay, and on the first date, he expects to take the girl home and get married and have kids on the first day. That's effectively what so many FITPROs or small businesses are doing in terms of posting and expecting to make a sale and bank the cash on that first transaction.
Happens down the chain, doesn't it?
It happens further down the chain.
And also in terms of the frequency, like you said, with it being 442, it's not on every single post that you're asking for a pitch. Now, if you remember back to, I'm sure everybody's had this, where you're walking along a street on holiday and it's sort of it's getting towards night time, all the restaurants are opening. Every single restaurant's like, come and sit in here, come to this restaurant, come to this restaurant, come to this restaurant. And you're like, just leave me alone.
The worst place we've had that is in Thailand.
I know, it's terrible, wasn't it?
So bad.
Taxi.
Anyway, carry on.
Buy your taxi. So literally you end up going, no. You don't even give it a chance. You just blink her off.
You don't even let the thought go in your head.
Yeah, you're just like, no. Even if it's the best restaurant in the world and it's exactly what you fancied that night.
Great point.
You don't go there. So actually, by just offering value up front and making them enjoy that space and time with you on your page is part of that experience, so that they can in time be part of you and join your restaurant.
So what I really want to know is, because we've had so many people reach out I think once we knew lockdown was coming and people were kind of like, I've got to go back online with clients, there was this realization that as a FITPRO, you had to up your social media game. And so over the last, I'm going to say 10 to 12 days, so many people have said, I don't know what to post now. What do I do? So I hope this live has been useful. If it has, just drop a comment below and say thank you, or drop us a thumbs up or heart. And we'll also put a blog below which has a 40-minute replay from a live training I did at the beginning of the first lockdown in early April, which has been incredibly popular. It's had literally hundreds and hundreds of shares on the blog. So if you do read it, my call to action for you today is to also share the blog. Because if we can help more people tackle their social media, it means more value is getting out into the big wide world, which ultimately our goal is to impact what I class as the end user, which is your client. So if I can help you help your client, my job is done.
It's a really good tutorial.
Cool.
Really, really clear.
So head over there. Outside of that, we will see you bright and breezy tomorrow. I would love to know what you've learnt today as well. You could drop that comment below.
Is it Wednesday today? Yeah,
it
podcast
is Wednesday.
Tomorrow.
Podcast tomorrow. But yeah, do let us know what you've learnt today. There's been, I'm going to say, a ton of knowledge and education in. There we go. Maybe this was one of our educational pieces.
Maybe.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.